Hey folks, it's Les here again, and we're back for another Behind the Scenes Weekly. This time I am a day late, but things do happen. So anyway, forgive me for that, and we'll just jump into what's going on here. So anybody who's been kind of following us on Facebook for a while, probably or on our website or on here, is probably familiar at this point with the graphic novel project we got going on that's Apocalypse Girl. So I am in the process right now of doing colors for the first 10 pages of it, the first chapter of the book, which will be featured in a free comic coming to select comic book stores on Free Comic Day this year, which comes up in May. So that's really going to be the girls' first time in full color print out there, showcasing some of the story. There's actually a big full page ad we had in Sketch Magazine recently. It was our first time in print, so I almost said something wrong there. But anyway, so even though I'm way past that and actually doing the line art and everything, getting the black and white artwork done, we decided we wanted to go with color at least for this 10 pages. The whole graphic novel will probably end up being in color. Hopefully, we'll see with a number of factors to that, but I'm thinking we're going to stick with color for it. So anyway, that's what I'm working on this week or today, and so here you can see, this is page 10. It's all black and white right now, and the first thing I want to do is lock in the color for my narrative boxes, which is a pretty simple task, really. We're going to go to the text folder that I have, which contains all that, and then create a selection from the layer. Then I'll add a new color layer above that, and I'll set it to multiply. Then I'm going to select, I have a little color palette I've made over here for Apocalypse Girl. I'm going to select the color from that I know I want for those narrative boxes, and I'll hit Alt-Delete, and that floods those boxes with that color. So that gets that out of the way. And pardon me, I have a little bit of a sinus problem, so I'm probably going to sneeze at some point. I'll try to mute it before I do. So that gets those. Now I'm going to start flatting in the background. So since I have her line art on its own layer, I'm going to come to a layer below her, do a new color layer. I'm going to set it to multiply. Then I'm alternating between blues and kind of these greenish beigey tones to get the dustiness in the sky and everything. So I'm going to start out with the lighter of those, go with this beige, and I'm using the pencil tool, but you can see I've got the hardness turned down on it, and it really is using the pencil tool more like an airbrush, but I have a habit of using that tool, and so that's what I'm going with here. And it's kind of flatting, kind of not. I'm not really, since I'm doing my own colors on this, at least right now, I may end up having someone else come in and help out later, depending on how this is all going to go. I tend to go in and have a very airbrushy sort of approach to it. So I'll go in and spray in this basic kind of drab beige tone that sets the tone for the dust in the sky. I'm not really going to cover everything with it, just most of the big dust sections. Okay. Then I'm going to alternate back to this blue, kind of blue-gray color. I want to put a hint of that in there. Now the time of day in this shot is actually early morning, and we just had in the previous page a sunrise image. So after I've gotten these basic tones knocked in here, I'm going to come back with some orange to warm it up. Right now I have it set to multiply, so I'm going to warm this up a little bit with that, and I'll come back with it set to screen to lighten things up here in just a second. You can probably hear the neighbor's dog barking right now. That's lovely. It's all part of the magic. So here you can see we've set our brush to screen. I'm just going through kind of lightening this back up. It's still a really dark drab world, even at a bright, even in the morning with a sunrise going on, it's still a really drab place. So we don't want to kick out all those tones, but I really like being able to have it, translate between the blue and the beige, and then have that hint of sunny orange coming through. So the next thing I'm going to do is go in and look at my buildings. And actually I'm going to go to my pen tool, set to normal. And one thing that we can do that will make this go a lot faster is hiding things we don't need to see. Since I've inked this in layers, that really gives us some nice options for that. So let's go back down through and take a look. Okay. So if I Alright, so let's pick back up with this, and just going to rifle through these layers here and see what all we've got. So looks like I didn't have these things blocked out quite the way I thought I did, which isn't a big deal. So I'm just going to go in with my pen tool and my kind of dark blue and block in these large areas, basically my middle ground. Okay. Then over here, just turn her on so we can see her. Block in this other set of buildings. There goes that damn dog again. Okay. And for the style that I have on this, I don't really have to be super accurate. I'm kind of going with a loose, almost watercolory sort of style in the end. Okay. So next I'm going to go to a slightly brighter color for blocking in the rubble nearby. Let's just get this stuff. Okay. Then I'm going to go even lighter for the ground right below her feet. So that's going to create kind of our sense of depth. Let's hide her again. Next, I want to come in with some sort of muted reds. I'm going to set it to multiply. I'm going to turn the opacity down quite a bit on this. And just giving a little hint of that color around the shaded edges here. And then just some little squiggles of that, hints of it in the rocks. Then when I come back in, set it to normal, raise my hardness on it, and kind of follow the perspective lines that I can see in the bricks of this building, adding these streaks. Just quick little brush strokes with that. You don't really need to color every little thing, just enough to give it an impression of what's there. Okay. Next, I'm going to go back to kind of a mid-toned brown. I'm going to set my blend mode to screen. Opacity's down pretty low. Use a low hardness on it. And I'm just going to kind of follow some of these little dividing shapes in the building. Turn that opacity down even lower and just blow in a little bit of that color there to help bring out some of the details. So I always hate it when comic book artwork loses the background details. If somebody goes through the trouble to put that in there, you know, I really prefer it when the colorist finds ways to enhance it or at least keep it present. So I'm going to turn the opacity up and brighten up the dust that's coming out of all these windows, and then come through and give a little hint of the same thing from the other side. Okay. Now, so that keeps some unity in the colors here, I'm going to go over kind of the large flat portions of the stones and the rubble with a little touch of this same light brown set to screen. Okay. Alright. I'm going to go to a slightly darker brown. I'm going to go back to multiply on it with a very low opacity, slightly harder brush setting. Let's increase the hardness a little bit. Let's turn that opacity up just a little bit more. Now I'm going to just pick and choose some lines and little detail elements to darken so that it creates a bit more contour in that background. Every once in a while, when something gets a little too jaggy looking for what I want, I'll hit J to bring up my blur brush, and I'll just blend that back out. Nice thing about using multiply mode and being able to change the hardness and densities and things like that is it really emulates, really comes out emulating the way comics get colored with markers. A lot of comic book artwork is done now with like those really nice Copic markers. Well, this, use these kind of settings really go a long way toward emulating that, and it gives a sort of a familiarity to the colors and the way that it looks. Okay. Now let's go back through this side. So this is really just focusing on showing you, some quick approaches to coloring in a background, since that's what I'm working on here. I already have the colors for the main figure complete. I'll turn those on here in just a second and let you see that. So even after I finish the video, I may go in and make some slight changes and stuff to this. So, but this was going to get it most of the way there, if not completely there. Now I'm going to pick some little details, just kind of accent those. My accents on these are going to be kind of sharp for the moment. I'll go back through with the blur brush and soften some of that stuff up. Throw some color down in these large cracks just to give that a little extra depth. Then we can also take our brush, our airbrush in here, and I have a brush set up for spraying, and you'll see that what that does is it helps me get that kind of spattery effect that you can get with watercolors so easily. So I really like that. Now it's a brush that sometimes has some lag to it, so when you're using those kind of settings, you'll end up sometimes if you do a bunch of strokes all at once with it, you may end up having to wait a second for it to catch up with you. But right, and pretty happy with the way that's coming out. Alright, let's turn her on, and there's our text. Okay. Probably need to make some adjustments to her, really. Looks like she's a little orangey. Okay. Pardon me. Let's move her color layer up above that background. There we go. That was a good fix for that. Then thinking I want to remove that grime layer off of her. Not sure. Kind of undecided on that. Not sure if it should stay or it should go. Yeah. If you take a look and you have an opinion, you can always leave a comment here. In the meantime, there's a couple things I do need to do here. Is I need to lighten up the gun. So I'm going to go back to my pencil tool. I'll take this light gray, set it to screen, and just a series of strokes over that to make that pop out a little better. And the same with this one. Okay. Then I want to add some more highlights throughout the clothing. So again, screen mode. And we'll just, a few strokes here and there should get what we're after. Then I'm thinking I want to kind of enhance her hair a little bit. So let's take a look at that. I have this really deep red that I like using for her hair. And I think I'm just going to redo most of this with it. And then we'll come in. You get to see here real quickly how I do the highlights of her hair. As I switch to this really bright orangey red, set it to screen, take the opacity down and the hardness down, and then just a series of strokes, and I'll look at the hair at how I've drawn it and try to find like shapes for different locks of hair, areas that look like the contours should be picking up some light. I just kind of tap those a little bit here and there until they get the appropriate brightness. So there you go. Hope that was interesting, and if you have any questions, we're working in Manga Studio here. This is Manga Studio 5 EX from Smith Micro, so go check those folks out. And it's a really handy piece of software for doing this kind of artwork. And so that's it for this week, and catch you next time. Bye.